Well, welcome to the Gold Arrow Camp podcast.
Thank you for
I'm
having me.
so excited to have Echo here today. Welcome, Echo.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm really, really excited to talk about camp and talk about something that means a lot to me, which is being an older kid at camp.
Amazing. So why don't we start by you just sharing just your GAC story. When did you start?
For sure.
How long have you been coming? What have you been up to all these years?
Yeah, so my GAC story is a long one for sure. My first year I was 6 years old, and I had like absolute younger sister syndrome. I heard that my older sister was coming, and I was like, well, everything she does, I need to do it, of course, naturally. And my mom was like, you don't even know how to shower. So I was like, girl, I'll learn. So I learned like how to shower just to come to camp my first year. And I remember it was like when the Nuggets program was a thing, which is like a little bit younger than the Bears age, I think right now. And it was like a week-long program. Yes. And I remember coming back home after that year, and like the first thing I said when I got off the bus to my mom was like, that was a ripoff. I heard you could go 2 weeks. I was like, I cannot believe you only sent me for 1. And since then, I've just been coming like to camp since then. And I've done like, I think every program camp has to offer. I did horse specialty when it was a thing. I did shaver specialty, did OLC, I did the JC program, and now I've been a counselor for 5 years. And yeah, I think every year I was a kid that was like, kind of scared of her own shadow a little bit. I was scared of everything. I was even shorter than I am now, if it's possible. And I was just, like, water was scaring me, high ropes, I was scared of heights, I was scared of, like, dirty conditions, like a showers. Like, it was all such a new things for me now. And this place, like, challenged me so much. And I, like, think about, like, wow, I was so scared of everything. I was like, how did I keep coming back? And I was like, I loved being challenged at that age. It was so good because I wasn't getting that kind of challenge out in the real world. So I came back every single year since I was 6 years old until I was a graduating camper when I was 15. And homesickness was never a big issue for me. I think because I was like definitely a little bit, like the issue for me was pushing myself to try all these new activities and get out of my comfort zone and trying something new when I wasn't really had any exposure to any of that. And when it came time for me to be graduating camper, and then I did OLC and JC, and then my first year as a counselor, I think I was like, oh, well, I've got to be a counselor at least like 1 year because my counselors had such a huge impact on me. And I knew it was a huge deal to me to be a counselor. And my sister was a counselor in 2018, and she spoke so highly of it. So I was like, I've got to come back. So the first year I was supposed to work was 2020. And then obviously COVID hit. So instead I took organic chemistry over the summer, not as fun. But then the next year I came for my first year, and I think I was just immediately hooked. It was surreal being able to like have the effect that these counselors had on me growing up, and huge reason why I came back with the counselors every year. And I was a kid who didn't really come the same session every summer. It was like sporadic. There's a lot of kids here, like they come session 1 like continuously throughout their whole time. I was like dependent on my schedule. So I never really like had that core people where I was like, oh, I remember you, I know you. So every year I was making new friends. But the things that like were consistent were the counselors, and like they would come back and I would be able to see them. And it's just such an insane thing. Like, and I think as a camper, I was always just obsessed with my counselors. Like I was like, I look up to everything they do, what they wear, what they talk, like what they say, how they act, how they behave. I want to model that. And being able to set that example for my own campers was like, I had no idea how much of an effect it can have. And I was like, I am going to do everything I can to keep coming back. And I've been a counselor since. And then this year I'm junior counselor director. And that's a really special role for me as well, as having been one myself. So yeah, I guess that's my backstory.
So it's fresh in my mind because last night was our paddle campfire with our graduating campers. Back then, when you were like finishing up your camper years, what would your reflection, or what were your reflections on like kind of what the impact of camp was? You mentioned like challenging you and that kind of thing, but like, how do you think it sort of impacted you as a person, just your time as a child, as a camper growing up here?
Yeah. I think it really depended on the year I was in and where I was. Camp has such a different effect depending on what your age is and what you need out of camp. And sometimes you have no idea, like every year, even as a counselor, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to gain this year, but I always leave having gained something and like having learned something new. And I think as I got older, I needed different things than when I was younger. When I was younger, I needed a lot of pushing out of my comfort zone, like activity wise, and pushing out of my comfort zone and like just like so many different social skills. Like I was just a really bossy kid and I like didn't love to share my stuff and all of these like basic things that you kind of learn in a summer camp setting. And I think as I got older, I definitely needed more of an escape. I think as you get older, you get more serious. Life just gets more serious. Adults treat you more seriously. They talk to you more seriously. You are responsible for more serious things. You're thinking about your future more often, and you're not really living day by day. You're living in the future. You're living like, what am I going to do to get me to this place and get me where I need to be? And especially at 14 and 15, I was like a really competitive gymnast at that age. And my coaches were like so angry with me for taking that time off to come to camp. But it was a non-negotiable. I was like, I need this time. And I learned a lot about, I think at that age, it's a really important moment. I think being that age and being a teenager, you're kind of like teetering on different paths and as well on different behaviors. Like, it's just the way it is where like kind of in high school and in middle school, like bullying is more common and making fun of people for their clothes, the way they look. It's much more commonplace to do in those environments. And I just like remember coming to camp and obviously like, those things are wrong, but then being in an environment where everyone is so kind to each other and no one is judging and everyone is just there for you and like they care about who you are as a person. And I was just talking about this just this morning with Gatsby on our time off was I am my best version of myself here, but I feel like the world, like everyone here loves that version of me more than anywhere else. Like I'm a very outwardly loud, energetic person. I care a lot. I'm like a very passionate person, incredibly chalant, definitely not nonchalant. And I am always like going out of my way. I give 110% to like what I do. It's just how I like to live my life. And everyone here is the same. And also like, even if they're not entirely like me, they love that version of me. And like, I feel like it's just so much more, it's just, you just feel so much more like affirmed here, if that makes sense for that. I feel like so inflated when I'm here.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, that's what some of the kids, we were talking last night, because even kids, we'll talk more about the teen programs, but even these kids who's come here the summer past 9th grade.
Yeah.
And they, like what they had to share was very similar to what you just said, is just, it's such a good break for them.
Yeah.
And from all the things, there's just so much pressure on, like, I know you and your sister are very high achievers.
Yeah.
You went to Cal, I think she went to UCLA. So obviously when you were 15, you were already in it at home of the testing and the grades and the gotta do all these things and be great at everything.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, it's crazy because it's like the kids who almost need camp the most are the ones who don't come.
Yes.
Because they're
100%.
so immersed in this like pressure cooker that they don't get a break. So I love that you stood up for yourself to your coach. You were a great gymnast, doing great, but you said, I need this. And it probably, really, we know kind of in life, your body and your emotions need some rest from those things, like even competitive sports. And I think, so that was what a lot of the kids said. And a lot of the kids just talked also about the presence, how when you're here, you really kind of, I feel the same way. Like I almost forget like to pay bills and things when I'm here. You know, just
I literally just set a reminder because
what
I was like, I need to remind myself to pay rent.
Right.
It's so not, that's not a thing that happens.
Nothing is not like all the things that are normally on your radar to be like, oh, I got to get this done or whatever. We're just kind of here and it's like, oh, I need to get to morning assembly. Yeah. Somebody's singing a song.
It's like minute by minute here.
Yeah.
That's like what's on my mind. Yeah, I think like there's about the presence thing. It's very much so like, you're not thinking about the future, you're thinking about, like, what am I doing right now? What do I have to do right now? And focusing on that. And you were saying how, like, that break, it's really important. And I can't even tell you how many times, like, because I started with, like, youngest to oldest Lions was my first year. And
As a counselor.
As a counselor.
Yeah.
And every year I've moved up in age group, weirdly. And so I had the same kids for 4 or 5 years. And now they're my JCs. And it's insane to think about, but I can't even tell you how many times I would come back each year and I'd be like, oh, where's blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, it's like they couldn't take the time off of their sport. And I'm like, that is so heartbreaking because it's like, I know how much they love it here and how like positive and happy they felt. And it's insane that like you can, like 2 weeks does have that much of an effect. It really does. Time moves so crazy here. It's like a warped dimension. I don't even know how it is that way, but I'm like, I feel like one day is 4 weeks here. It's really, really insane to think about, but it's such an important moment for them to be taking that time because they really do need to put some time in themselves. Because I think right now at that age, I was like putting in all my time and my energy and my like everything into my academics and my sports. And I wasn't putting anything into myself. All the extracurriculars I was doing was for the goal of getting into college, which is maybe not every kid. I am very like that.
You're
was like
wired
I'm,
that
I'm wired that
High
way.
achiever,
I like I definitely was just always like someone who just wanted to be good in school and wanted to do a lot of extracurriculars, but I wasn't really. I had other things, but I wasn't really doing anything for like to feed my soul.
Yeah.
And at that age, it's the most important time because in a couple years, you're going to college and you're going to be on your own, and you need that time to start figuring out who you are as a person and what kind of person you want to be, what kind of impact you want to have on people. And this time, like where you do have that escape, that break from everything, you're forced to kind of just sit with that and think about how do I want to behave? What kind of person am I? What kind of friend am I? What do I want in my friends? What qualities do I like? And that's why at each campfire with the older kids, I'm asking those kinds of reflective questions. Like we'll do the high-low hero, but we're asking questions like, what's your favorite quality in a friend? What's your favorite thing about yourself that you've learned to grow? That's another one that I love to say is like, what's something you've grown to love about yourself? Because at that age, and currently as well, like incredibly critical. And we're critical of ourselves so much so. And at that age, it's ramped so high. And I think it's so important at that age to be like, oh, like this is one thing that I totally, like when I was a teenager, I kind of like hated that I was a nerd. I was like, all my friends weren't really into academics and I kind of dialed that part down for me. And then I got to college with a bunch of nerds at Cal and I was like, wait, this is so fun. I love that we like our hangout is going to the library to study. Like that's great. And like talking and having intellectual discussions about our classes and what we're learning and all of that. And I asked that question because I'm like, okay, so here's something that you were critical about yourself a couple years ago, maybe even months ago. And now you come to love that about yourself.
Yeah.
And we all have things right now that we don't love about ourselves. It's the reality. It's the way life works. So have some grace. Maybe it'll be one of your strengths in a couple years. Like the things that you think are weaknesses could be some of your greatest strengths. And I've definitely found that with myself. Like my bossiness, which I don't know if I was bossy so much as like.
It's called leadership.
Yes, exactly.
Unfortunately, when we're women,
it becomes bossy.
Sometimes it gets bossy.
Yes.
So I mean, I think that's actually like you've had natural leadership qualities since you were young, and of course, when you're young, sometimes the way you assert those aren't practiced.
Yes.
So you get older, and then you develop. Okay, I am a leader. What do I need to work on in my leadership?
Yeah.
And so it's not, so you shouldn't be calling yourself names.
Yeah.
Or having it be derogatory in any way. But that's one of those things too that, well, often for girls too, I think it's getting better for kids. Absolutely, but I think that there's just a little bit of this thing of like, oh, don't be that like bossy, one.
Exactly, for sure. And like something that like I thought that was like kind of a weakness of mine that I needed to dial down. And becoming an adult, I was like, this is my greatest strength, my ability to like lead and like rally a group of people and like get control of a crowd in a fun and exciting way and like make it funny, make it exciting, make it not super like, hey, listen up, but like in a way that makes people laugh, but listen. And I was like so concerned about that as a young person. And then now I'm like, thank God I am that way. Like I love this part about myself. So there's like so many important moments when you're a teenager to be asking those questions and like having those reflective moments, because when else are you going to do that?
I know. Well, even in life, it's even adult. I
Yeah.
think it's also a good habit for them to start.
Yeah.
So like all this reflection we do here, you know, one goal is that we take that home, and whether it's with a friend or in your journal or with your parents or whatever, just remembering to sit back and say, well, how did that go? Like, you know, even with like when you get to college, so a lot of the counselors here are in college and trying to figure out majors and oh my gosh, what am I going to do after I graduate? And, you know, if we spend more time reflecting, we'll get closer like because you'll like think, okay, what did I love about that experience or that job or that class?
Yeah.
Which are the things that really stood out to me? And then that gives you clues like, hey, I need to keep kind of pursuing down that path or whatever. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit because I do think that one of the things that you and I have talked about a lot is just how great camp is specifically for teenagers. And you've already touched on some of the reasons for it, and even for your own experience. As a counselor of teenagers for the last few years, what have you seen? Like, have you like transformations or breakthroughs, or what are some things that you feel like you've seen in your campers who've come up here into their graduating years and now maybe even as junior counselors?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've seen, being with older kids for so long and being also a counselor here for a while, you do see the impacts you have and like the effects you have. And I remember one like example was, I like remember having a chat with this one camper who was struggling with like some peer pressure. And I could tell like he wasn't a bad kid. It was just, they're never bad kids. It's just sometimes they're young. I as a teenager, we make stupid decisions. It's part of growing up. And we had a talk one summer and just kind of like expressing, like I was like, seems unlike you, and kind of talking about that. And then a couple years later, he came up to me and was like, I don't think you understand like the impact that had. Like since then, I've been so cognizant of like how I act towards others in this particular context, and trying to like leave as many details out of this for obvious reasons. But like, I think at that age, you're resonating with the lessons you learn a lot more than at a younger age, because you're at such a pivotal point in your life where you are like, like there's riskier choices to be made socially. And I think being a counselor for these ages where they're like, they look up to you a lot and they respect you and they want to follow your lead, and how you model that behavior is so important. And it's so important to be modeling that behavior in all aspects of camp, like having like really solid friendships around camp and putting your friends up, putting counselors up constantly, putting your campers up, being engaged with your campers. Like I think oftentimes as well, like what I found with that age is because of that seriousness that you're getting out in the real world, I love to like be as silly and loud as possible and pull that out of my campers in any way. Because they're at that age where this is like their last year of childhood. And they're like holding on to it for dear life. They're like, please, 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 I don't want this to end. And I remember that. I was the same way. I was like, I don't want this to end. I don't want to graduate as a camper here. Like, I just want to keep coming back. And I loved being a camper here, but being a counselor has been even like better for me, because I am able to like have the impact that I wanted as a camper and I got as a camper as well, which is like being able to be that person for them to open up to and confide to. I think I didn't have, obviously there was my mom and dad who were incredibly lovely and supportive, but sometimes you don't want to open up to mom and dad about the things you're struggling with. And having this cool like older sister figure that I could go to and be like, I don't know what to do. I'm struggling with this at home. I have no clue how to get through it. And having that someone like objective third party where I'm like, I don't know everything, but I know what you're telling me, and let's work off what you're feeling. So much conflict management happens, but like, and crisis management happens at that older age where and I've kind of said this to like any older counselor that will, like older camper counselor that will let me talk to them about this. It's really important that a lot of campers are going to come to you and say, I don't know what to do. Can you give me advice? And it's so important to not give them the solution, because the part that is so important is empowering them to get to that conclusion on their own. And there's a lot about like when a kid is kind of, I came at 15 thinking about quitting gymnastics. And I remember my counselor like helped me kind of take the steps to figure that out.
Right.
And I went home after camp, sat my mom down, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And she was like, okay. But I was, I think, at the place with, at the place that a lot of these kids are at, where they're like kind of on a seesaw of a decision. They're like, I'm not sure, I can go this way, I can go this way. It's really important not to push one way, because they're going to want to balance it out and go the other way. So they need to like you have to look at them and go, I don't know, what do you think you should do?
Right.
And they're going to be like, I'm asking you. Like, and it's just like, well, let's take it step by step, and getting them to that place and empowering them on their own, like figure it out on their own, because they can. It was a long-winded answer on your question, but yeah.
Well, Echo, that was all some really great parenting advice you just shared. So well done.
Thank you.
Because I think parents kind of panic. Oh, you can't quit. You're so good at it.
Yeah.
And that's where, if you make decisions like that, that's where you end up being a 50-year-old in a job that you really don't love. Because if you just keep doing things because, you know, that idea of sunk cost, like you've put so much time into something, or you've invested so much money into something that you think you have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But sometimes, not always, but sometimes you do need to reflect and decide, like, you know what? I've done this. I've had this experience, and I'm ready to do something else, and it's okay. But it was interesting, as you were talking about gymnastics, one of the things that we see a lot of now from you is your dance and your choreography. So it's interesting that you stopped doing gymnastics, but pretty soon after you started dance. And boy, you look happy when you're dancing.
Thank you. Yeah. Dance has like been a huge part of my life. I like quit gymnastics when I came back home after 15, and I like dove really into dance. And I did it all throughout high school and all throughout college. And obviously, like when I was a counselor, I think when I was a camper here, there would always be like some older kids would do like some cool dances.
Lala, one of the GCs.
Yes.
I remember her doing like the Thriller dance.
Yes,
One year
I
when
remember
Latte
that.
was in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many good ones, and I remember like also as a camper trying to do like dances, but like all of us like had 2 left feet, and it was really funny. But as a counselor, I was like, okay, it's time for a skit. Like every GC immediately is thinking like, what am I gonna do for my skit at Big Campfire? We're thinking about it immediately, because especially with the timeline, you kind of have to like have your campers thinking about it, working on it, and like we're like getting it together. And I love to dance. It's always been like a huge part of my life. So I was like always bringing up the idea to my campers. I was like, well, we can do a dance. And I often, like most kids would be like, yes, but then I had a couple to be like, I don't know, I'm not really great with dancing. And like, it's like there's no greater reward. I'm like, no. Like, I'm going to walk you through this. We're going to be with you every step of the way. We're going to like go through this step by step, and learning how to like teach dance at this very, very basic level. And also like get the kids excited. And I've worked with like all ages when it comes to dances. I've worked with like young kids, tigers, lions, eagles, JCs, counselors, and
The entire staff this year?
yes, the entire staff this year. And it's like, I have kind of figured out this way of like making it silly where they don't take it too seriously, but like have fun learning. And I'm like, I'm like, don't think you're gonna get it in 5 seconds. Like, all we're doing right now is the groundwork, just like step-by-step things. Where I'm like, you do not have to be stage ready right now. All we're doing is like learning these couple steps and breaking it down slowly, and being like laughing at myself, because it's like so important to like remember like this is not that serious. This is just about having fun. And I think just dancing in general is about like just being free. And like I look at like the dance we had last night, and it's like so much, everyone's just like kind of like going crazy, letting loose. No one's caring about like the way they're moving their body. They're just letting it move, and it's so free and nice. I love doing dances. Like whenever counselors ask me for help, I'm like, please. They're like, we don't want to bother you. And I'm like, no. Like I want to. Like I love being like parts of dances and helping like cabins and campers and make them feel like they're excited to perform something, and like, to be proud of that as well. Like they always leave, they're like, I'm so proud of like what I just accomplished. They're so excited after they perform. They're like, we did that. Like we put our all into it. Like that's so exciting. Like it's amazing to see as well, like the older kids commit to it. Like I think last year I had a cabin being like, we want to do an early morning skip practice for our dance. And I'm like, okay, like you want to get up? Let's get up. Everyone's practice. Like I'm happy to. Like that level of commitment where they're like, I'm just so excited to be a part of something and put my heart into something and like be able to show that work in front of everybody. It's so rewarding, and it's really rewarding as a counselor to see as well.
Oh yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, you know the science, I'm sure, behind like dancing together.
Yeah.
In sync, like even these like like the dances that we do as a whole camp sometimes,
Totally.
and all the ones that you've taught, it is like a really bonding experience.
Totally.
To like be moving together with people.
Yeah.
There's something that's going on with our brains. I don't know. I don't remember all the science. You probably know more about it, but it's one of the most connecting community kind of things. It's like also singing together.
Yes.
So singing a song together that you know and dancing together are both really, I love that that's part of our culture here.
Yeah.
That people dance together a lot.
Yeah.
We do a lot of dancing
You
together.
feel so much closer
I
to
know.
people.
And everyone's joining in, and like they're next to maybe, like a 7-year-old is next to like a 14-year-old is next to a counselor, and we're all just, I love that.
No, it's so great. Especially like all cramming together in the morning assembly stage. Like, there's like no like room when we're like doing tragedy, like literally. But I'm like, I feel so close to everybody. Like, this is so nice. There's no better feeling. It's great.
People listening might not know that before assembly, what do we do before assembly? Every day, morning assembly starts at 9, but before that.
Yeah, before that, around 8:45, we have dance party. And best believe my cabin was always there. I was like, let's go, ladies, we're moving. And we would always get to dance party because it's like we would always play some songs, and we'll play some like sing-along songs, but then we'll also almost always every morning play like a camp-wide dance song where like everyone in camp knows the dance to it, like Footloose, Tragedy, Move Your Body. If you don't know these, then these sound like random things to you, but they're just like things that we learn and we teach here to the new campers whenever they arrive. And it's just like so much fun. Everyone gets up because as well, like I think a lot of people, they're like, I don't know how to move my body. I don't know what to do. So having those like group dance where like there's choreography for them to know, it just like alleviates that tension, and you get so many people out on that stage that want to do it. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting, even at the camp dances, you see when those particular songs come on that we've all learned.
Yeah.
Everyone crowds in,
there.
and people are dancing and singing for most of it.
Yes.
But more kids join in.
Oh, for sure.
When it's a group choreographed, we're all just moving together,
Yeah.
repeating. Like that's
It just like alleviates the anxiousness.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's great.
Okay, well, I know we've been talking for a while, but what else do you want to share about, like, just what you think are some of the benefits? You actually have spoken to the benefits of being a counselor too.
Yeah.
And I guess I also wanted to share one of the things when you were talking, it reminded me that the role modeling of the counselors to these teenage campers, and some of the things here that are so like contrary to what's going on in the world, and like specifically like regarding like using like substances to try to make ourselves have fun.
Yeah.
That's very much a narrative.
Oh, absolutely.
In all of culture, from adults down. And so even like college culture kind of tells people like, oh, to have fun, you need to like put something in your body that's changes your psyche. But I love watching here how much fun people are having.
Yeah.
Just like high on nature and being together, you know?
Totally.
And that I hope that translates for our teenage campers, that they've had so much fun here, and it's like more fun than probably any like party or nightclub they go to at home.
Yeah.
You know, it's way more fun, that they will realize that they can kind of create their own fun.
Yeah. It's comes at a really important time, like having that fun and having that silliness, and like being a counselor for that age. I think I've had some people be like, oh, I bet you like out when I'm like out in the world, when they're like, I tell them like, yeah, I work with like mostly 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and now 16 and 17. And they're like, oh, I bet you that's such a chill job. And I'm like, no. Like I am bringing more energy with the older kids than I am with anyone else, because they're at that age where like they need to know that like this is okay to be silly and crazy without having any substances. Because I think sometimes people like use substances as an excuse to be loud and be themselves and be excited because they're like, oh, well, it's not me.
Right.
And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, this is me, who I am. Like, I am, like, this is just normal Echo. And having that energy, having that excitement is so important because they need that. They need to know that, like, it's okay to be silly. It's okay to not take things serious. It's okay to be loud, especially as a girl. Like, I, like, feel like so much of the world and society tells us to, like, be quiet down and not take up space.
Yeah.
And the things that I wanted to, like, bestow on my campers, my graduating campers, was, like, you can take up space. And it's not a burden, and you're not annoying, and you're not too loud, and you're not too much. And I love this side of you. And, like, that's why whenever I see that side of them, I'm, like, outwardly giving compliments. And I'm like, yes, like, that's so awesome. Or I'm joining in. I'm letting them know, like, hey, this is fun. This is great. Because it's like, this is how we should all be out in the world, you know? We shouldn't be, like, quieting ourselves down because it doesn't fit in with the ideal. And, like, I, especially, like, with what I do, like, working in EMS outside of camp, it's a very serious job. And I'm like, I am 100% allowed. And, like, I disarm my patients with kindness and exuberance. And, like, it works. And, like, I am known, like, as someone who, like, in my, like, work to be able to, like, you have a difficult patient, bring Echo in, you know, like, because, and it's like, it translates anywhere. You can be who you are anywhere and thrive.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to find out who that is.
Right.
And apply that. It's not about fixing your weaknesses.
Right.
It's about leaning on your strengths.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's I love that. I love the scene, thinking about you doing your EMS work and, like, using your fun
Using my
personality.
yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these kids, I mean, I see it every day here, just watching their joy. And because I know the parents of a lot of the older kids, they see in their kids when they're here just something completely different than what they've seen all year. Just so much more, like, just smiles, interactions, it's just a really amazing transformation.
Yeah.
And I think you're just seeing them up here,
Well,
like your junior counselors.
I have like 4 of my junior counselors' parents here, or who have known, because they've worked here in some kind of capacity. And it's awesome, like, having them come up to me and be like, I've never seen my kid like this. And I'm like, yes, like, that's awesome. Like, I love to see that and hear it.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. And gosh, those junior counselors, which we're going to do another episode with Sneaks, your co junior counselor program head. But it's a pretty remarkable thing that those kids who are 16 and 17 come here for a month.
Yeah.
Leaving their phones at home.
Yeah. At an age where, like, we're most phone obsessed, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting because it's like, I remember as a JC, I was like, take it away. Like, I'm ready to drop it. And I talked to a lot of my JCs and they're like, I was happy for that 4-week break. Like, please take my phone away from me. Because it's like a disease. Like, we can't separate ourselves. We can't take it away. On our own. So having that where I'm like, it's gone, it's out of our hands, we cannot touch it, is great for them. Obviously you get a camper here and there was like, yes, I'm having withdrawals of my phone, but on the most part, I would say all my JCs are, like, very happy to not be on their phones.
Right.
And 4 weeks away is a lot for sure. It's definitely, I don't know if this group is just a really, really good group, but they're all, like, we're happy. I think a lot of them had been monthers in the past as well. But I think the program itself is structured in a way that's so good to be 4 weeks because it doesn't rush at all. You get these the first session is like 2 weeks, and we could talk more about this later, but first session, having that training, and then second session being in a cabin, it prepares them in a way that's like, it's not like, I think just throwing them straight into a cabin is kind of like, it's destined for failure, I think. So yeah, it's
so fun. Well, they are having a phenomenal time. So
they're great. Awesome.
Any final thoughts about just what camp means to you, or just anything that you want to share with the community?
Yeah, I think after like 16 years, I think about why I come back every year, and like I hate to, like, it sounds so cheesy and everything, but like I am the best version of myself here, and I can't even stress enough how important it is to have your childhood spent here. It's something that changed my life forever. I can't imagine not coming back. And I'm at that place in my life where I'm like, I don't see myself not being here. Like, it's like for at least a little bit each summer, because it's an important break from the real world. And as well, I feel like I turn on here. I feel like out in the real world, I'm kind of paused, if that makes sense, in the sense of like, I'm living and I'm existing and I do all the adulting things and all of that, but the impact we have here is like, I feel like I'm like alive and I'm aware and I'm present and I'm living in this moment. And I feel like I like literally, it's like I turn on, I'm like, oh my God, like I am living in this world. This is like, I'm reflective, I'm introspective. I feel like I am aware of like so much more of what's important in life. Out in the real world, I'm stressing about applications and jobs and working towards medicine and like all these different goals that I have. And here I'm like, what do I want out of life? Not what career do I want, not what house do I want, what car do I want, what clothes I want to wear. I'm like, what do I want to look back when I'm 80 and be like, this is the life that I led? And not in necessarily like the things that I did, but in the impacts I had and the way that I hold myself and the people I surround myself with. My closest friends in the whole world are here. Like, I have great friends out in the world, but the people who will like be like at my wedding, like are like, and will be in my bridal party are like all here at camp. Like, you know, like my not hypothetical, like I'm just saying, like, it's like these people will be the most important people in my life. There's no competition, it's not even close. The friendships you make here, the relationships you make here are unlike anything. So.
Well, we'll end there. That was amazing.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on, and we will definitely do it again.
Yay. Thank you for having me. That was so great. Yay.